Glenn,
Here.
Merle,
Here.
Blake,
Here.
Kelsey,
Yeah.
Jenny, here, Crystal, here. All right, if you'll join me in pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You wanna go now or you wanna go in a minute?
No.
Okay. I would open the floor to agenda consideration. So moved. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. We have board communication. Public comment, sorry. Anyone? No? I didn't check the sheet, but I assume it's blank back there. Board communication?
All right, so first thing up on there is our teacher appreciation, and so last week we had, the link on there is to our website. And just want to take this moment to thank our teachers for how much hard work they've put in each and every year. And it always comes at that time of year where we're in that home stretch, and I'm sure that they're looking forward to the rest of the home stretch into summer. But also really want to thank the community and the different groups that come together and support each of the schools and show the teachers their love and appreciation. And so we have tremendously hardworking teachers throughout this school district at all 4 schools, and just really want to acknowledge and appreciate their efforts.
Great. And anyone can chime in if they want to, but I just want to take a moment to recognize our fantastic teachers and how much they do in every single building and care for our kids and love on them, and so, thank you. Anybody else?
I think you said it best. Thank you, teachers, for loving our kids and.
I don't have a lot of contact, but my niece and nephew, who have a couple little guys in primary school, I know they're really impressed and appreciate the school and like to be involved, and so I hear good reports.
All right, moving on. High school? ASB? Hi,
Come on, hi, hello.
You get the presentation, sent to Diane. Did you send it to
I
Diane?
sent it to Diane.
Okay.
Did you want me to send it to her?
Yeah, if you wanna send it to me, you sent it to me before, so it should pop up. DES,
Okay, 1 second.
good.
Okay,
DES,
I
IR.
found you.
Perfect.
Sorry, it's because I saw her email last month's email, so I just like, okay, like maybe I'll just send it to her again, you know? But I didn't know she wasn't gonna be here.
Yeah, you're totally good, look up,
you're fine.
there we are, don't worry.
Perfect, there we go.
To start us off, Skills USA has wrapped up their competitive events in April. Flor Campos, a senior, took first place in medical terminology but passed on nationals. Elliot Kiesel took second place in baking and pastry arts, and they had 5 new competitors this year competing in extemporaneous speech, pin design, and culinary/baking. And then for NHS, their new members will be inducted at their tapping ceremony on May 28th at 6 p.m. in the high school commons. Paige Comerford, this year's NHS president, will be hosting an additional community blood drive on June 27th to possibly earn scholarship funds. And if you're able to come and support our members on these dates, they would love for you to join them. Key Club, they had 5 members serve at the Woodburn's Mayor's Breakfast last week, and they also had a numerous amount of members help with the Woodburn Tulip Festival parking back in April. And then,
Sorry,
that's okay.
too
you're
many
good.
things at once.
And then I put Big Brother, Big Sister, and FBLA in 2 separate categories, so For Big Brother, Big Sister, we're finishing up with our final event on Monday, May 18th at the primary school. And to quote Miss Ayan, when she said, "It has been a great partnership with Miss Boswell and Miss Peters' second grade classrooms, serving all 44 students every other week for the entire school year." And then FBLA had 2 of their members qualify for the Nationals Leadership Conference in San Antonio, Texas. One of them is Ben Boswell, who is a sophomore. He qualified for 2 events, but is choosing to compete in business management. He placed first in Intro to Business Concepts and second in Business Management, both at the state competition in Eugene. And then Jared Hernandez is a freshman competing in real estate. He placed 4th at state in this event, and he is excited to have qualified since it will be his first experience with FBLA. And then they're currently seeking donations and working several fundraisers to ensure that both students can go to this truly unique experience and allow North Marion to be represented at FBLA Nationals. Yeah. And then the last few, yearbook, they're pulling every free minute they can to put together the yearbook for this year, since we are now in the last few weeks of school. And then May Day, a lot of people were really in awe and about like our theme this year, since it was like an off-brand candy line. It was called Gumdrop Gala. Did any of you guys go to that? You guys go? Yeah. And there was a few suggestions to add new seating, like more seating for next year, because I'm guessing a lot of people wanted to keep coming, but yeah. And then to quote Ms. Bailey, she said, "It always impresses me how students rise up and blossom as part of the May Day experience." And then NHS is having a meeting tomorrow to practice a proposal and go over possible questions about the installation of student artwork around the school. Their current goal is to make more of a student connection to the building with student artwork. And the proposal consists of images of the art, sizes, and suggested installation locations. And then ASB, our most current project was Staff Appreciation Week, which we started off the week with a breakfast cart with OJ, donuts, and cinnamon rolls that were donated to us by White Rabbit. And then with the help of our ASB members, we were able to wash 18 staff cars on Tuesday. And then the staff raffle was also a big hit with donations from Chick-fil-A, Capital Auto, and then some local businesses from Candy. And then one thing I didn't add on there is that we are also like getting closer to election week for like ASB, so we're trying to get people excited for that.
Excellent. Great work. You've been busy.
I know, yeah. Yeah. I'm sorry, I want to apologize for not being here last month. I got caught
Oh,
up in some business and then,
do not apologize.
and then I was
Your
sick.
goal is to have a great time in school and to participate and do academics and all the things that you're doing. You do not have to apologize. We
you.
appreciate anytime you can be here.
Yeah.
And then Allie also apologizes for not being here today because she's at a game right now. So.
I talked about her, okay, you tell her I said, do not apologize.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Maurice, you've done a wonderful job this year and given really good updates,
Yeah.
so we really appreciate you coming.
Thank you, I've tried
You're
my best.
fantastic. You're doing great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, budget committee vacancy.
So that was put on there as a resource for possible conversation later in the meeting, so
Okay,
that's just kind
good to know.
of hanging out there.
All right, excellent. And then we have OSBA summer school session. That's, okay, that's a mouthful, but there's one, I read it in Redmond and then one in Eugene. So if you would like to attend either one of those events, you need to connect with Diane, who will get you registered. I think one is in July and one is in June.
They're both.
They're
July.
both July?
Yeah, so
Okay.
Redmond is July 10th and Eugene is July 16th.
Okay, there you go. So let Diane know, this is in place of what used to be like a 2 or 3 day summer one. So, I support you going. If you register, make sure you go. That would be my comment. And I've been guilty of that, by the way. Okay, acknowledge overnight field trip. Boys golf to Blue River, May 10th through the 12th. I'm playing right now, good luck.
No.
Then moving on to consent agenda.
I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
I would like to raise a question again. I made a note to someone, I don't remember who, last week about these. I noticed in this particular one, there are no answers to the questions. But also that I think we need to update our form. Because it says here that requires advance approval of school administration, superintendent, and board of directors. And it's my understanding after last meeting that a director's approval is not required.
This-
And it also references a policy that I could not find.
All right, so I'll make a note of this on a sidebar to have Deanna follow up with you regarding questions about this form. This one actually does need approval because it's out of state.
Okay,
And then on page 3, there is some documentation, but it's just the documentation around. This one doesn't. Oh, that one's after school.
Yeah, so.
no, did I
We would
misunderstand
be
that it says Blue River Board?
Oh, okay.
Because it's June 27th.
This
Oh.
one that we're approving for San Antonio is actually separate than the Blue River. So the Blue River is in state for the golf.
Yeah.
And the San Antonio is the FBLA out of state.
Mhm.
Well, did I miss that?
I think these are just two
Didn't see that
different
on mine.
ones.
Reference documentation here, so I'm sorry, I'll just let that be.
No problem, but we can look at that policy to make sure that the form reflects what's in policy.
Yeah, I couldn't find that policy, it just didn't show up in our list of policies.
So Dan will follow up with you after, is that good? This coming week?
There.
Okay, moving on to a vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Noted, Dan will follow up on the form. Moving right along. Board action. Yay. Okay, sorry.
You're good.
Sidetrack. So on this piece, we will, hold on, I'm pulling up my form. We only have, let me see. Which part do I need to read?
Well, so in the memo, you posted a vacancy on April 11th.
Yeah,
And so with candidate applications were due on May 4th, and we had one applicant, Alberto Dominguez, who's here with us. And so there's some comments that were posted in there. And so one of the things that hopefully Diane give you some information, but if you'd like to come before the board and just share a few comments and then you'll take it from there,
yeah,
okay?
sorry, I just wanna
Yeah.
make sure I didn't miss anything.
No, you're good.
Hi,
Hi there.
how are you?
Good, share some comments, I'm not, sure what you guys would like me to share, my name's Alberto, I'm interested on the board decision.
And I think when you and I met, you had talked a little bit about your children in the district.
Yeah.
And you live here and some of your passion for serving on the school board.
Oh, sure, since my kids started in school about 4 years ago with their first one, I was excited to participate in school, to participate with the community and to get involved for them. So I want to make sure I provide the best opportunities for my kids, and now, since I'm familiar with some of the parents, students, it drags me more to the rest of the kids, so I'm excited for that. Yeah, I've been in the community for about 20 years or so. My oldest is in 3rd grade. I got a first grader and another one that's 2 years old, so that should be it.
guarantees, okay.
Yeah, and I've been involved in sports, coordinating soccer, involved in North Marion Youth Athletics, and it's been great. So I look forward to it if possible.
Excellent.
And Alberto is on our superintendent work group that we haven't met in quite a while, but he always has good ideas there and really appreciate his contributions to that group.
Yeah, absolutely. I would entertain a motion.
I would make a motion that we appoint Alberto Dominguez to position 4 for the term ending 6/30/29.
And do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Moving to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
So we do need to do an oath, right? Can I do that?
Yep.
Okay, just checking. You'll join me up here.
It's all new to me, so.
Just wondering if anybody wants to take a photo? Got it? Yeah, great, good. Hey, you're ready to right now for me? So, oath of office, okay. I, Alberto Dominguez, did I say that right? No, probably not.
Great.
Okay, so I, Alberto Dominguez.
I, Alberto Dominguez,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Oregon,
Constitution of the State of Oregon,
and the laws thereof,
and the laws thereof,
and the policies of the North Marion School District.
and the policies of the North Marion School District.
During my term,
During my term,
I will faithfully and impartially discharge.
I will faithfully and impartially
Perfect.
discharge
Yeah, the responsibilities of the office of the school board member
the responsibilities of the office, of the school board member,
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you all.
All right. Well, next up, we have a recommendation to adopt a school calendar for the 26-27 school year, actually 26-27 and 27-28. Yeah, so I'll turn it over to Desiree.
Yeah, so we, as you guys know, we are very late in adopting our calendar this year. And it was in part because there were quite a few things under negotiations with our contract negotiations that were going to impact the calendar. And in order to, one, not adopt something and frankly have to immediately change it once the contract was finalized, and to make sure that we weren't potentially impeding the contract negotiations, we did decide to wait. But once we got our official TA contract kind of in place, we moved forward with our calendar. There is a chance that through the final voting of teachers, if they came back and said we need to go back to the negotiation table, we might have to reconsider press the calendar, but we have pretty high hopes that the contract will be ratified. So a couple things, I won't go into a lot of depth, but I did share with you some things that are impacting the calendar this year that we wanted you to just be aware of. First, if you have heard in the news, the governor did sign an executive order 2606. And that is to increase the number of student contact days that are happening in schools around Oregon. There's some new research being done by Stanford Children that says that schools should be in session more. And, you know, that's something this board has fought really hard for. So one of the parts of the executive order, there are two main things that the executive order changed. The first was that it changed how we can calculate minutes. That actually benefited us. We typically follow Division 22 rules with calculating minutes, where you can only count time that is spent in front of a teacher. So we can't count recess, we can't count lunch, we can't count passing time, we can't count assemblies even. Now the governor's executive order says it's bell to bell, from the first bell of the day to the last bell of the day, you can count all those minutes. which includes recess and lunchtime for kids. That especially benefited our intermediate school because technically recess under Division 22 only counts up through 3rd grade. And so, and we know that recess is good for kids, we need them out there playing, and so this allows us to count those as instructional minutes. It helped all of our schools across the board add minutes to the calculation, even though technically nothing changed in our calendar in terms of calculation. The other thing that the executive order puts forth is that we have to take the level that our calendar is at 24-25, and that is the number of student instructional days we have to stay to. For us, that was 173. This year it's also 173. Really where that is gonna impact other school districts is school districts who furloughed days because of contract negotiations as budgetary cutting measures, or like in the case of Portland Public, because they were on strike for a chunk of time. If you had gone below where you had currently calendared, or if your current calendar is below that 24-25, then you have to propose to the state how you are gonna get back up to that 24-25 number before 2027, I believe. Luckily for us, we already had ourselves at 173, so we were in a good spot to be able to keep that. But it did factor into contract negotiations because that is built into our contract, and it was something that the association was looking at in terms of language, and we had to say like, no, a minimum of 173 is now required by the executive order. There are some aspects of the executive order, we'll see how they flesh out, because the governor puts forth her order, and then the state board is putting forth orders that contradict some of the governor's orders, so we're just kind of seeing where it shakes out, but either way, we're in a really good place in terms of our calendar. The other big things, and Dan will probably talk about this a little bit in terms of his negotiations wrap up, but there's some things that came forth in our contract negotiations that we wanna point out that are part of our calendar. So some really exciting ones, for example, that we got rid of all half days except for the last day of school. So there will be no more half days on the books, which is super exciting. I really appreciated the association's take on that as well, though, which was that they also felt like was not the best use of instructional time, and were really willing to work with us on that. We also were able to change a little bit in terms of how we do grading days. So as you know, right now, kids on the last day of the term have a half day, then teachers have a work day at the end of that day, and then the next day is a full day off for grading. What we've decided to do now with both of the end of trimester 1 and the end of trimester 2 is there will be 2 days off on those days. The first day will be half of a day with professional development that the district or buildings will be executing. The second half of the day is a work day for teachers. And then the second full day is a full work day for teachers to finish up grading. And that was a good compromise that I felt we went through. As the person in charge of a lot of that professional development, getting that extra professional development kind of scattered throughout the year is gonna be super beneficial. It supports the grants that we've been given that require some pretty extensive professional development. And any of those times where in theory, we could gather everyone in one room, we could take them all to the high school and you're all hearing the exact same message at the same time, is really powerful. So we're excited to have those opportunities as well. We also kind of cemented in contract language that Wednesday before Thanksgiving will always be a non-contract day. The last few years we have been doing that, but this will kind of like cement it in place. Depending on how the calendar falls, we'll then try to work our way. All the work we did with the calendars for this year, these next 2 years, is trying to put where we have those like time off in really logical places so that kids don't go where it's like, oh, I've had 4 weeks in a row that are only 4 days, you know, or a lot of like little chunks of time. So this year you'll notice for next year that the end of first term is on Thanksgiving break. So we have an extended Thanksgiving break for families, which is really great. For teachers, it's that end of term and grading, which is also a nice way for them to launch into their Thanksgiving break. We tried to make sure other times were, again, like centralized around places that felt really logical. But the one piece that we can say for sure is that the contract now with the language that's in place really locks in our calendar in ways that have not been as locked in before. So the calendar is kind of in, I won't say it's preset, but there are some really key places that are just like, this is where this will go, this is where this will go, this is where this will go, and here's where the calendar committee will have some say. And that in a lot of ways is great because we know that our calendar the last few years has been really successful. We've had extensive, like really good feedback from both teachers and families. And the stuff we got in, that the association negotiated with us and where we came to, kind of locked in those parts of the calendar that have been working really well. So hopefully we'll continue to have really effective calendars moving forward. So I'm just gonna kind of zoom out here just to give you a quick look. You can see already how kind of clean it is. There's just not a lot of times off, which is great. Ooh, now I see what Sarah meant. Red versus orange. That is what I've got to fix. Yes, when you see it, it's like, oh, those look like the same colors. So our first week, as we had discussed already, will be before Labor Day this year and next year, just because of where it falls. And then we have our Thanksgiving break. It will be started off with the end of the trimester and those professional work days and professional development days. Then our March one will be before spring break. I know everyone's like, try to get as close to spring break as possible. It's not possible unless you have one trimester that's like 70 days long and the other ones are like 40. But we'll see how it falls off in the future. A conference is in April again. The only half day we'll have is the last day of school, which everyone agrees is a good idea. Yes, send the kids off. So we are ready to go at that last day. And then the second calendar is very similar, looking at, in fact, almost exactly the same. So it also preserves a nice graduation day for our kids and whatnot. So with that, I'll open up any questions.
So you have 2 years laid out then?
Yes.
When will the following year be laid out? What will that cycle look like?
We're gonna start doing it every year again. So next year we will do the 28-29 school
So
year.
you'll
So
always
that,
be a year ahead.
yeah, exactly. We actually, the association was like, we have a 3-year contract. Let's just do the third year now and give families those calendars. But the third year of that, the 28-29, the calendar goes wackadoo again. When Memorial Day or Labor Day falls is kind of on the swing day of the 4th. So it's like, ooh, do we start before? Do we start after? And then Christmas break is in a really weird spot where it's like, do we go right up to Christmas and the Friday before is like the 22nd, or do we take partial weeks or what? And so we felt like, and with the things with the governor's order, executive order in flux, we thought, we'll just wait and then do it next year. Hopefully some more things will have settled out, but we should at least always have a 2-year in front of us.
2 year. When will you have the following year done?
We'll go earlier next time, we'll go like January, because we'll have plenty of time to have it sorted out.
Nice.
On here, it says, graduation next year is on a Saturday on June 5th, is that correct?
Nope, that should be the 4th. I will fix it right now. There you go. Perfect. Yep, just put the wrong date. Thank you. Before we publish this, I need at least 16 more eyes on it. I will tell you. The funniest moment was we were working on the calendar as the calendar committee, and you could tell it was the end of the day and everyone was tired. Because you literally are just touching every box and going, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then everyone was doing it simultaneously, and then everyone was losing count. And I was like, this is why the calendar has days where we're like, where's Veterans Day? Because it's a lot of little boxes. And so it's always good to have extra eyes on it.
Any other questions before you have a motion?
You had listed the hours that the
Yes.
executive order required.
Yes,
Do we fulfill those with the two 30 and 30 removed? That the executive order says, well, now you can't count.
yes, yeah.
So even without those counted, you still have the 996.
Yeah, the best way to look at it actually is on this table here, on this bottom. So there are 2 ways to look at it. The first is Division 22 does allow us to count the 30 and 30. And so our full day for the high school is 350 minutes, for example, and then 405 minutes without it. And then these bottom, so that's just an example, so we gain minutes there. And then this bottom is where we do the full calculation. So this top row is just the Division 22 rules where we can count the 30 hours of TD and the 30 hours of parent-teacher conferences. And I'll use just the high school as an example. We have 1,005 hours. If we hit that, we need 960, so over. If we take those away with the new minutes calculation, we're actually at 1,109 hours with that.
By
So-
including the breaks and the. well, the better bill.
Exactly, yep,
So-
so we don't count the other 30 minutes, but because we can count 5 minutes of passing time throughout the year. We actually end up with an extra 100 hours in our calendar, so yep, easily needed.
That was my question.
If we have inclement weather, how many days are set aside for that?
We have 3 days that are set aside automatically. And because of the executive order, the thought would be we would have to make those up from this point forward. If we have to meet 173, if we have an inclement day, we will have to
So
get,
any days off for any reason will have to be made up.
unscheduled day off. I would assume unless the one place that in the executive order, she does say under under emergencies, like state of emergencies. So there have been a couple times this last few years where like the ice storm came, shut us all down for like 4 days, where they've said you can waive those 4 days. So there's a chance that the governor would still allow some of that, but if we just got hit by, our weird banana belt, North Marion, if we got a weird snowstorm or only we got canceled, we would have to make up that day more than likely.
That brings up a good question as far as what our current practices have been around those, and we do have them built into here, and so it probably would be something I'd be bringing forward to the board to say that we want to add a day because they are built in, and we'll probably know more a little bit about what the governor's executive order here is, but didn't have any of this, well, we had the one power outage, so.
All right. Do I hear a motion? We need board action on this.
Yes.
I'll make a motion that we adopt the 2026-2027 school district calendar.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Okay, any other discussion?
Was
To
that
your
supposed to be-
calendar.
Was that supposed to be 2028? Or 2026 to 2027?
So since we have a motion and a second, I think maybe vote to approve, have your vote
Yeah.
and then have a second motion
Okay.
for the next calendar year.
There you go.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Now I'll call for a motion to adopt the 2027-2028 school district calendar.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any other discussion? Move to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, strategic plan.
All right, well, we made it. We're here with a strategic plan. And so really want to thank John Young, social studies teacher at the high school. And who served on our committee, as did a couple of our board members. And so John, I don't know how much I want to put you on the spot here. I'll turn it over to Des. She can be the one to put you on the spot in different places. So I really want to appreciate Des's leadership in this effort. And let me take it away.
Sure. I think, we've done so many updates for you guys that I don't want to belabor this too much, but I do want to kind of, highlight some of those spots where when you put forth for us to move and begin the strategic plan, what were some things that you were really looking for? And I know from the very beginning, one of the things was, how do we make sure that we have a good amount of different voices represented, especially those of our community and as well as teachers? And so when John said, yeah, I can come, he said, what do you want to hear from me? I thought, anything he could add to the conversation about how we work to try to make sure voices were included, and so I'm gonna let you talk. Yeah, go for it.
Let's see. Well, I really appreciated, I really appreciate being here, and I really appreciated being invited to participate on the strategic planning committee. As far as I could tell from the outside looking in, Des and Dan cast a really wide net. K-12, as well as outside of the community, to get as many people as possible, to speak to things in our plan. It was great to see everybody. It was great to work with people, especially Blake and Jenny. I really liked working with our school board members and also our parents and my colleagues. I appreciated throughout the whole process how focused it was. Des and Dan had a really clear plan to get us to a plan. And so with that clarity, we were able to put this thing together and also not just put something together, but as I read through it, it's all very clear. It's all very measurable, and I can kind of see the course that we want to plot as a district and to know whether we're on that course or not. Speaking personally, I really appreciated having the opportunity to sit on that committee as part of my professional development, kind of see how the sausage is made far upstream. Because I've been on the other end of that. I know that on the building leadership side, we get these plans and try to figure out in the building how to implement it. And then on the teacher side, we get training on these plans and try to figure out how to implement it. And so I appreciate it for my personal growth, seeing how this plan comes together in this room before it goes to like a meeting room in the high school, before it goes to a meeting room in the high school library.
Yeah.
Any questions?
I don't have a question. I'm glad you brought someone in because I thought I would like to hear from some of those people and our board members too, that sat on this committee and say, I didn't go through that, so I'm interested in your recommendations. And I think I heard a good one. I was trying to get my aides up a little higher. I think I better hear. I'm interested in those of you that worked on it. Your recommendations, your comments.
Yeah, it was the first time I've ever participated in a strategic plan for the school, so it was, like John said, it was really interesting. I found that it was really exciting to be having the conversations with the different people at the table, and then the next time you'd be with different people and talking to them and getting their unique perspectives. And I always felt like the time just went by so fast because we were so engaged and sparking ideas, and there really wasn't I didn't feel like there was really any bad idea. There were so many good ideas, and then it just became like, okay, well, what are we gonna focus on? I did appreciate that all the decisions were based on what's gonna be best for the kids and then what's gonna be best for the community. So, I like that.
The neat thing about it is each school district being different, trying to tie it into our culture of our school and what we're trying to do in our communities. I feel like there were so many good ideas given, but you're looking for what's better and best for our students, to Jimmy's point. And so a lot of the ideas that were given were all good, but it was trying to narrow that focus down to truly make it something that's measurable. Just to have a bunch of ideas on a piece of paper is one thing, but it really sets you up for the future when you're hiring people, when folks are when the administration is going to go through that process to hire a new teacher or principal. It's already there on what we're looking for, and so you don't have to reinvent the wheel each time. And it was a process, and when you go through these processes, some days you leave and something doesn't seem right. As you continue to work through it, it kind of gets to that point. And I think having a lot of different opinions and thoughts on it, you land somewhere in the middle, which is probably where you should land. So I think it was a good experience, and glad we have 5 more years before we get to do it again. Support you if you'd like to do it.
Well, and I think just building on what we heard from all of you, like, when I think about the charge that the board gave us, those were really the things that drove the work, that, we would start with clear performance indicators, that we were looking to, what were we trying to, move the dial on, how are we actually trying to improve it? That the plan isn't driven by initiatives, the plan is driven by a goal to improve our school, and the initiatives are potential pathways to get there. But I would even argue not necessarily the pathway that we know, and I think one of the things I appreciate about Dan's leadership is that we don't commit to making the same mistake over and over again just because we've made it, right? And so trying things, seeing if they work, if they don't work, move on to the next thing. Really using data to drive what that work is and not just like assumptions that it's the right thing. And then if we keep really wishing hard, maybe the data will change, but instead really focusing on how are we trying to really make an impact. And then in the end, also with that, the data, right? Actually bringing data to the table. What are the things we're going to use to measure this work? How are you going to ensure that, that we aren't just giving lip service to things, but actually, seeing the dial move? So, those were what you asked for as a board, and I feel really proud of the end result, knowing that we delivered that for you.
I think ultimately this plan, I think we know in public education what works, and I think sometimes we go searching for the mysterious thing that we think is going to get us there. And so I brought it from the belief of what are we about, which is student achievement. That's the first and foremost thing we're about. I think one thing that makes North Marion unique is we have a real sense of, there's a real sense of pride in who we are. We can do better in that area and have a stronger sense of pride in who we are. So that's that culture and community piece where I think we can have a lot of growth. And then it really hinges on having great people, and that's that talent development side of this. And so I think those three things really were at the core of what we wanted to build. And we already have the data. We didn't have to go searching for data. We brought data to the teams and especially like the youth truth data. We know there's data out there. Which of these things do we want to prioritize? And so I think what made it successful was not trying to reinvent the wheel of these processes. Really just trying to listen to the people that were at the table, which I think as John described, there were parents, there were K-12 representation of our teachers. And so I do think this really does reflect the priorities of the North Marion School District. And while, yeah, selfishly 5 years helps us not have to do this again, but it also, I think, we sort of live in a culture, I always, use, NCAA football coaches as an example. If you think that, you can turn around a program in 1 year, and if you're not, you're out, like that mentality doesn't work. It takes a long time to turn these ships around, and not that we need big turning around, but it takes a long time to ship things. And so I appreciate the 5-year commitment to, hey, in 5 years, we're gonna have a really great story to tell, and I'm really excited about that.
So a couple of other just small things, the plan I have up in front of you is actually our printable version. So in theory, this will be about 10 pages back and front, so not bad. But we're also creating some tools that are about easy access. In your packet, you also, or in the folder, if you went into it, there's also just a 1-pager of our strategic plan that we can use to communicate with families, that has a QR code to our website. And we work to create a data dashboard that has all the data in one place. It's about 109 pages long, and that's year one of the baseline data, and it will keep growing. And that's because there are clips of the graphs you could look and see right now where we're at on all these different measures, except for the ones that we're building currently. And then our next thing that we'll probably bring before the board is kind of a 1-year plan concept of like, what does year one of the strategic plan look like? What are the things that we are going to continue nurturing and building that we're already working on? What are the things that we are introducing and launching? And what are the metrics we will use beyond the data points, but also like if we know we've launched this program, we know that we've had a successful year, for example. So that will be part of Dan and I's next few weeks as we think about launching into summer and what does next year look like. And will probably be the next thing that we bring before the board to kind of communicate about next steps.
All right. Do I hear a motion?
You still got the thing.
I make a motion that we adopt the 2026-2031 strategic plan.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Moving to a vote. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Excellent job. Thank you so much
So much.
for
Thanks,
being
John.
here this evening. We really enjoyed hearing from you firsthand. And great job.
Great teammates.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, and thanks for your donation of your time. Okay, moving on. We are going to appoint 2 board members to enter into contract negotiations with the superintendent. This needs to be a board action item. First of all, so that we're within public meeting laws, and also this will give legal permission for these 2 board members to connect and negotiate. I was thinking Blake and Jenny, if you would mind.
When are you looking to do it?
Within the next 90 to 120 days.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Okay. Do I hear a motion from someone?
I would have asked Glenn if he would consider it, but I wasn't expecting, I'm not against any one of them doing it, but was thinking earlier today, his experience on the board, and I know he was interviewed for help with the city of Hubbard, and it's kind of the old timer around here, but it's just a comment.
I would defer to to the chair's leadership on this.
I think we'll stick with Jenny and Blake, but I have other plans for Glenn. Did I hear a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we appoint Blake and Jenny to act as a representative for the board in contract negotiations. I'm assuming it's a rolling contract. Is that what the language you're looking for?
Yeah, he's in a second year.
Okay. Yeah, I'll
To open it.
I'll do that. I'll do that motion.
Okay, excellent. And do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Any other discussion?
Yeah, on the discussion part, I would highly, well, you've done this before, haven't you?
Yes,
Just
the first one.
highly use legal.
Yes.
And communication, this is a really like, it's a special situation, so communication between the board. We're appointing you to act on our behalf, so
Mm-hmm.
do that.
Yes.
Like, you can't do a chain meeting, it's really easy to start doing that, having been through this a couple of times. It is a convoluted process, I don't know why ORS requires it to be this way, because it is probably one of the worst processes that they give us, but just some friendly advice on.
Thank you. I should
And that's,
say that.
and that's especially why I wanted Jenny on there, since she negotiated the first one with Heidi, and so she has that expertise.
Yeah.
To be able to bring additional expertise.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
So
don't
kind of share the
hesitate
wealth.
to, if you have
Yeah.
questions, don't hesitate to,
Yeah,
do legal representation or, have those questions answered.
oh, Elizabeth was very much
Yeah,
involved.
that's what she's there for, and it does help, plus she also keeps you out of the weeds. So you don't get in like,
Yeah.
Mind your lane.
yeah, I mean, there's a lot, it's a really tough process, so, yeah. Sorry, that's my only discussion on it.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah,
Before we vote, I'd like to hear the motion. I think there was a piece of it I didn't catch. something Glenn added,
The motion was to appoint Blake and Jenny
right?
as representatives of the board to enter into negotiations with Dan and bring us a contract, essentially bring us an updated contract
Okay,
or an extension to the contract. That would
Yeah.
probably be more accurate.
Additional, more.
Lots more.
All right. We'll move to the vote. All those in favor say aye.
I,
All those opposed, motion carries.
Right, thank you. So Kim, for a financial enrollment update.
Wonderful. So, thank you, everybody. So tonight, gonna be relatively brief. Our time has been very, very heavily focused on the budget. We're looking forward to our budget committee meeting this Thursday here at 6 p.m. We have just 7 weeks left in this fiscal year. And at this point, it is just ultimate critical that we are monitoring expenditures and that we meet that budgeted ending fund balance, because of course, as we'll be sharing with you on Thursday, what we believe we are gonna have in funds to start next year is a critical piece of being able to fulfill the promises that a budget is making. So gonna be definitely watching those things very closely. And then next week, just wanted to share with the board, starts our interim audit already with, so we will be beginning our audit next week. This is a mid-year audit that really focuses on internal controls, focuses on randomly selected transactions, and show us all your documentation and backup for those sort of things, compliance procedures. And it really is meant to increase the efficiency for the final audit, which will happen in the fall after our books are closed. Our accounting here is a modified accrual, so June 30th, there will be transactions happening in this fiscal year as well as in the new fiscal year, depending upon certain government accounting standards on those compliance rules on that. But wanted to point out, we've got an updated financial report posted for you. And this is showing we are, I feel like, in a very, very positive place right now. And I'm feeling very confident with our projected totals. One piece I wanted to point out that really made a difference is we have in our revenue section here, the state sources line, so about midway through that grid. I've updated the projection significantly. We have received information from Oregon Department of Education regarding our high cost disability grant. We are receiving a very positive adjustment for the money that they gave us a year ago. They have reconciled it and realized that they owe us additional funds. And then there has been a great, in my opinion, great shift in how Oregon Department of Education is funding the high cost disability grant starting for this fiscal year. And that is resulting in what I feel like is going to be a much more accurate number, providing us the funds now instead of a year from now. There is always concern of being an overpayment situation, as we've talked about with you in the past, that the money we are receiving right now, we don't know if it's ours until May of 2027. We may have to give back if they've given us too much once everybody's audits are done and they look at all the districts statewide. But I am very pleased with what Oregon Department of Education has done on that grant, and I do feel confident in those revenue figures. Moving down into our expenditures, the main piece that I want to point out is that I've added the asterisk now behind our adopted budget column. At the last board meeting, which I do apologize for not being able to attend, but you voted on a appropriations transfer in our budget, which allowed us to move budget authority from one operating expenditure function into another. And you can now see that with that move, our expenses by function are all within budgeted amounts. And as we go down into our operating expenditures by object, again, the functions are the descriptions of the programs and the type of work that we're doing. Whereas an object talks about the exact same expenditures, but what did we spend that money on? So what was it for? And what was the product or service that we purchased? And so now with that adjustment, we can see that we are within in purchase services, the 300 down in that lower section. We are now within budget because that was the adjustment to our transportation costs that was made. So bottom line, I am cautiously optimistic, projecting a $2.6 million balance at the end of this year. We budgeted for a 1.2. So that is reflective of a very strong commitment to watching our expenditures this year, as well as some positive revenue variances, despite significant challenges out there. So we'll be talking more about those balances and the budgeted ending fund balance versus the actual ending fund balance. Talking more about that on Thursday at our budget committee meeting. As far as an enrollment update, we are very similar to where we were a month ago, and we are spot on to where our projections thought we would be at this point. Again, the concern, of course, district-wide is going to be those high school classes being so much larger than our primary school classes. So we are going to be seeing some natural changes in our enrollment figures, but we will continue to monitor that and talk more about that again as well on Thursday, so. Are there any questions?
I had a couple.
Yeah, good.
On the interim audit,
Yes.
is that with our new accounting firm, I'm
Yes.
assuming? And second to follow up, is that a normal pattern of things that we've done historically?
Yes,
Okay.
so an interim audit and a final audit are standard procedure. You
Okay.
get audited twice a year.
Okay,
The interim is kind of a check-in. Some districts do it at different timing. I'm very used to it usually being in kind of a March-ish timeframe. We were a little delayed this year due to our shift in the RF request for quotes and interviewing new firms, changing auditing firms. There's a lot to that. So I do anticipate this being more of a March timeline next year, which would be very nice not to have it right on top of budget, so. Yes.
Historically, it's been done in the summer, but like Kim said, districts do it different ways, but I think most of the time, the interim, it happens in the middle. So more like that March period, so we'll be moving to more of that.
yeah, I'm not,
Yeah.
I don't, it just seems like a lot for May.
We will
I just didn't
not-
know
we
that
will
was
not
because
be
we were
shooting-
changing
we will not
over,
be
or that
shooting
was-
this is a 1 year, we'll call this a transition year.
Okay,
July to May to March, we'll work on that.
we don't need to burn you out.
No kidding. Merle?
I just wanted to confirm that I understood the numbers when you talked about the balances or the ending fund balance going forward, the 1.2 that we're hoping to have. Is that set against the 920 that we presently show? And so that's what you meant, that we're working to bring those closer to the 1.2, or we're hopeful that. Am I understanding that right? That
That's
that's
it.
where we are right now.
That's a great question, so. The bottom section of that financial report, the first line that says projected revenue variance and has the $435,000. I am projecting that we are going to end the year receiving $435,000 more than we budgeted to receive. I am projecting the next line, our expenditures, we are going to spend $920,000 less than we budgeted to spend.
Okay,
And I am projecting that our contingency and reserves, which were 1.2 million, will not need to be touched. And we will have that entire amount available. So instead of ending the year with 1.276 million, I am projecting we will end the year with 2.632 million.
That's the.
oh, okay.
And that
I'm
will be
seeing,
a
yeah.
key discussion. That's a significant change, right? That's extremely, we hoped to end the year with 1.2. If we end the year with 2.6, that is incredible news. We will be discussing that further though at the budget committee meeting, because that positivity is helping us through some really challenging times, and we are going to need to have some conversations about that's a one-time savings and may not always be as positive as it is. So there was some very, very wise budgeting done, a year ago to help protect the district, and between that and the contributions of our staff really are finding ways to shift our mindset and how we use our funds. I think I'm very, very pleased.
Do we have a lot of unfilled positions at this juncture?
Unfilled positions,
Mhm.
we're some.
So normal, but not anything, over kind of what we've historically had the last couple of years, so.
I think I mean, I don't have the historical, I would say it's for a district this size, normal kind of attrition for where we're at right now.
Sure.
It's kind of in a position and, I've made, ever since announcing the reduction in force, when you authorized that, I told the staff that every 2 weeks they would get an update from me, and so they're gonna get an update from me Wednesday of this week, and in that we are going to share, now they'll know if they're watching. We're gonna share that the proposed budget does not have any layoffs. I'm gonna use layoffs instead of reductions, is a key term, no layoffs. But we will be examining every open position and determining whether we need to fill it or not, and we've been really clear about how do we maintain that staffing to student ratio. That if we fill every position, we'll be forced to reduce at some point down the road. So we need to look at every single position and go, is this one that we need to fill or fill differently internally? Those kinds of things. So great question.
Okay,
So before we move on,
let me do it first.
No, he's
Before
gonna
we
do
move
it.
on. Just kidding. Go
so
ahead.
I got so excited when Alberto was sworn in. I got so excited about the school calendars and everything. I forgot to announce that with Alberto joining the school board, that creates a vacancy on our budget committee because he was a budget committee member.
Yeah.
And so obviously he will be here as a board member serving on the budget committee. I went back to our December board meeting and the board did not do any kind of formal vote. We just noticed a vacancy on that. if you wanted to declare a vacancy, you could do that and vote on that. We are prepared. In anticipation of Alberto's appointment, we are prepared tomorrow morning to push out that we have a vacancy, accepting applications for basically about 36 hours. And so that the board, could hold a special board meeting just prior to the budget committee to appoint somebody for that vacancy. So you can go ahead and declare one if you'd like.
Yeah, I actually, as a board member for transparency within the community, would like to declare. Or to have somebody make a motion that we declare this vacancy. So that if a community member would want to sit on this open position, that we had made that readily available.
Yeah, is that, I make a motion? I make a motion that we declare a budget committee vacancy for position 2, term ending June 30th, 2028. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Just they'll have to be a fast reader. Okay, then moving to a vote, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries.
Thank you. All right, so we have our 2024-25 spend report with Cheryl.
Okay, so every year I come to you in March to compare information. So this is from last school year, so school year 24-25. I'm just gonna share a few highlights from this report. It just went public on Friday, so it's like fresh off the press. Student count at 263, that is our number of students eligible for special education services December 1, 2024. Okay, it is declining at about the same rate as our enrollment, so that number is slowly going down. In years past, the secondary transition one hasn't been, a piece of data that they've collected, so we're in cyclical monitoring, so every 3 years. We submit files for compliance to ODE, and 24-25 was one of those years. So we submitted, each district, depending on their enrollment, submits X amount number of files. So we had 40 files this last year that we submitted to ODE. And secondary transition is a big area that they're looking at for compliance. And so at that time of submission, there were various areas that they looked at. We were 62% compliant. Which meant that we had some work to do in that area. One thing I wanted to report to you tonight is that we had a year to make those corrections to any IEP that had an error in them by May 1st. And so I talked with ODE prior to May 1st, and all of our corrections have been made and we've been cleared. So we're working on that. We always have refinements that we need to make in our paperwork and how we do things. And so we've done those trainings, we've met with those case managers to ensure that we're compliant in those. The next one, this is the one that always gets a little bit confusing about graduation rate, dropout rate. Why are they not equal 100%? So a few things to note about this one is graduation rate is only for students who receive a regular diploma or modified diploma. It doesn't include extended diploma, certificates of attendance, if they've aged out of the program, and then dropouts. So these are only students 24-25 who graduated with a standard or a modified diploma. Rate is lower than what we want it to be. The other dropout rate is a little bit different also. So one thing to note about the dropout rate, when I went and I looked at the actual data from last year, 50% of the students in that group, I mean, we're talking really small groups, like less than 15 students. Half of them were 5th years. So half of those students were students that we were trying to move across that finish line from the year before. But because they came back and were enrolled for a short period of time, but then still didn't make it despite our efforts as a 5th year, then they were considered on that dropout again. So the numbers, it's not just a 1-for-1, it's a lot of things combined. And so a lot of things we're working on, and I know we're having some conversations with the high school about that graduation rate. And then we do have some students who are doing the extended diploma as well, which doesn't count towards that. So continue to have those conversations and improving on that area. One of the areas that, well, I'll just note, like everything on the left side, no significant disproportionalities found. That's what we want to see in all of those areas. And then one area that we've made a lot of improvements on is the outcomes. So while higher ed is just one of them, we have a higher number either in higher ed or employed, or higher ed training and employed. So that number is significantly higher than it has been. So our students are working or in school or doing extended education after they exit with us. And the last one is just participation and how students are doing in the state assessments. Questions on that?
Question for you. So it says 263 of the North End students are in SPED out of the 1580, so around 17%
Yep.
Is that, I'm just reading here with the state of Oregon target 78, so we're, how does that?
78.
How does that rank? I mean, how is that ranked?
Oh, in regular
Yeah, I'm
class?
just trying to follow.
So that's
that.
placement.
Oh, okay.
So of the students who are eligible, a regular class would be gen ed placement.
Okay.
And then you have separate class. So that would be most likely more of your self-contained classrooms. And so that just means that we have a little bit lower of our students in full-time gen ed. They might be in partial time gen ed or like a 50-50. split between different settings, but that's the number for the regular class for 80% or more of the time. So that's like resource room. If they have like one period of resource room. So we have some students that have like 50-50 or like a 40-60 or yeah.
But the
So-
question of 17%.
Is that normal compared to other schools? Not that I
Yes.
know what normal is, I'm just.
Yep, yeah, so they would like us to be down at around 11%,
Okay,
but
that's what I was
typical,
looking
yeah,
for.
so we get funded for 11%, but
That's where
typically 15 to 18 is where districts are landing.
15 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, the state, there was a big push this last year that the 11% there's nobody hitting 11% anymore. That used to be kind of the target, and it was 11 to 13% for a while, and it's 13 to 15% for a while. And now it's moved up to 15 to 18%, and so we're in that normal.
So if they fund 11% and there's any increases in transportation or whatever on top of that, the school is responsible to take care of that, is that right?
Yeah.
No special help on any student, it just,
Well, some of that high cost disability that we got more funded, so I'll quickly get out of my depth if I keep talking. So I'll stop there.
But yes, the state has a pot of money, $55 million that is available for districts. We can report to the state of Oregon, any student on which we spend more than $30,000 on that one student. Everything above and beyond $30,000, we can submit for reimbursement. Districts do this statewide. It is about a $300 million ask, and they have 55 million.
so is it first come, first serve, or
It
do
is.
they just portion it out?
We get 21 cents on the dollar.
Got it.
Or 24, depends on the year, right?
Out of the 263, how many would fit under that 30,000 or more?
We had 16, I wanna say, on this last report.
It goes
That's okay, we
between
don't
like
need
10
to
and
get-
15,
Doesn't
I'm just trying to get
somewhere in
my,
there.
Yep.
so. Just to show some of the constraints on the budget and what that does is more the point I'm trying to go with.
Yep.
Thank you for sharing.
Last call. All right, moving on.
All right. So
Thanks, Cheryl.
we annually have, we've typically, the last couple of years, had a safety and security update. And so Wes Owens, our Director of Safety and Security, is here. As a reminder, at the end, key questions to the presentation. If the board would like to request an executive session at some point down the road to discuss more private security topics, we'd be happy to arrange that. But I think we all know how blessed we are to have Wes in our district and the services he provides everybody, our district. So really glad that you're here this evening.
Well, thank you. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to present on safety and security. I appreciate it. I do want to start if we go to that next slide, if you would. Again, we've had a great year, not only just in safety and security, but all around. I wanted to share that from my perspective. And it's been an honor serving all of our students and staff, not only this year, but in years past. And I wanted to also share that tonight's presentation will mainly focus on our partnership with our emergency partners, as well as some of the new safety procedures that we put in place this particular school year and implement them this year. So we'll go to the next slide if you would. Right, first off, I do want to share, I was just texting with him about 3 times. He's apologized to me 3 times today for not being able to make it. He had and I asked him, and so he was fine with this. He had a minor medical procedure today. He will be back on duty tomorrow, but he wanted to be here, but it was a situation where he can't drive after doing the procedure for a day, so he would not be, he wanted to be in uniform, as you all know, being a professional, so he just, sorry, and this was planned well before I asked him about that, so he.
This is Chief Parisi.
Yeah, Chief Parisi, sorry. He always loves to be here, but he wanted to hear his apologies for not being able to do that this evening. But I will say, as you heard me before, I will highlight our outstanding partnership with the Hubbard Donald Aurora Police Department. That is new this year. It's been great having that complete community-oriented approach now. We had 2 of the cities, now 3, and have heard nothing but positive comments from community, but also just how they impact us, because a lot of our students, when we deal with students and law enforcement's involved, now having Aurora, now they can branch out to all of our communities. It's been outstanding. We wanted to, and as I put on the slide, the communication that we get from the department is amazing. The response time, anytime that he's always, Chief Priest is always saying, hey, do you need anything? Do we need to be out there? And you'll see them a lot, visibility wise. And also when we call, they're always there to support us. So we just want to thank them for everything that they do. And a lot of, lots of collaboration, our training together, teamwork they support with patrols, welfare checks, investigations. Actually, we've had we've had more investigations this year, larger scale investigations than in past years, for sure this year. But also, again, I use this word, the visibility part. I put out the May and June events, with athletic events. They were at the kindergarten roundup the other day. 6th grade open house is coming up, our senior trip departure, senior's last day, and they'll be helping with that. Our graduation, 8th grade promotion, last day of school. So they're out and about all the time supporting us, and we appreciate that. And not only that, I think all of you have seen just that community outreach, the kindness, the service that that department portrays is truly exceptional. And I say that from the bottom of my heart. I've been in lots of different school districts working with law enforcement, and I have not seen anything close to what that department provides to us on a contract. It's very unique, and also the services they provide for the money that we pay for is exceptional. So
if I could just add to that, they oftentimes during morning drop off, I will see a police cruiser right in front of my window. It always makes me feel good that they're monitoring that traffic, because that just that visibility will slow people down more than anything else. So that's always great to have them. And every single officer that I've, if I'm walking through or whatever, always it's a handshake. It's how you doing? It's anything we can do to help. They are really top notch.
Yeah. Can't say enough about them and Chief Priest, all of the department. And they are actually getting very close to be fully staffed here pretty soon. They've been doing some interviewing, so we're excited about that too. All right, so I'll move into our Raptor Alert. I spoke about this at another board meeting or a past board meeting. Just wanted to share that we are now fully implemented in the district. This is again the technology that helps us respond more effectively to emergencies. And it was programmed in our district, and I'll read it because I put some wording to this, to initiate rapid coordinated response in various emergency situations. And all of our staff can put out a web enabled device by phone, desktop computer, their laptop. They can do this. I want to give an example, and it's also aligned to our response protocol, and I'll share a little bit about that in a little bit. But we had a situation, and this was a new one just the other day. Had a situation where there was an issue with a student in a classroom. Oftentimes, what teachers would have to do would be get on a phone call, and students would be able to hear this teacher talk, or they would send a student down to the office like, can you share this or this with the administration? In this situation, the teacher was able to get on their computer, their desktop computer, and initiate a Raptor Alert and put in the Raptor Alert exactly what was going on. So as we were responding to the classroom, we knew exactly what we were coming into, and all the other students in the classroom did not, because they were doing it confidentially. So there's a lot of excellent features to this. That's just one example. It also gives, the other day we had a 911 call to our middle school. And prior to that, I would call each district, each facility, and the superintendent, and then Diane, and then I would do every secretary to make sure, hey, we have a 911 call, it's in the middle school, no worries, everything. But this, we can initiate it within seconds and everybody gets it. All the secretaries, not the whole district, just those for the that have been programmed to the 911 call. So it's just, it really has helped out quite considerably in our response time, and then the knowledge of what's going on, that those that are programmed into getting the alert.
And it's really well, because like the incident at the school that happened with the teacher, I didn't get that. I don't need to get that one. That's really, and it goes right to the administration. They, you know, the other example that teachers used to do is get on the email. Well, we don't want our principals sitting around waiting for emails all day, but getting an alert on their phone going, oh, that takes that priority. So it's really customized. So I did get the 911 call from the middle school. You know, those are the ones that I do need to know about and those sort of things. And the principal within 15 minutes or so closed it out.
Yeah.
You know, he was able to go in, closed out. I get a notification that it's closed.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I closed that one out actually.
Okay.
But administration can.
Yes.
And not only the other thing that has the feature inside of it is that when an alert has been initiated, there's two different messaging. It's like a text messaging service as well. So there's general and then there's administrative. So administrators can text message back and forth within that so they can stay in the system. And then teachers can text to a staff member. So like if the student moved, there's a problem with the student moved, they can say, hey, now that student's in room so-and-so. And, you know, so there's a messaging format within the system as well, which is very helpful. So what you see on the presentation screen is what it looks like for a teacher or an administrator when they use this. So the first screen that pops up is the lockdown and secure. And then if you see below that, you see team assist. So most of our teachers live in the team assist button. So if they hit team assist, then the box on the right pops, the other box pops up with admin requested urgent and admin requested minor, nurse requested urgent minor, 911 like we've talked about, suspicious activity, basic skills foundation support, and then a hold. So those are what, again, they see. They can use this on their phone, they can use this on their laptop or their desktop computer. So one thing I do want to share on this though, a lot of people were very concerned about, oh my gosh, if I hit the lockdown button, what's going to happen? Well, the important thing to know is that there was a law, it was called Alyssa's Law, that districts are supposed to have a procedure or mode for teachers to initiate a lockdown. So all teachers do that. It's not as easy as just hitting the button though. When you hit the button, you got to hit it, seat it, and then drag over. So it's not like an accidental, dial on your phone. It takes a little bit to get there. So they all have an opportunity. Every staff member in our district that has this, they can initiate it. They see something, and we talk about it constantly. I was in the intermediate school last Thursday talking about all this stuff. Just as a recap, it says you are a professional. You see something, when something is bad, you have the ability to do a lockdown from this. Now, they also can use their radio, they can use their phone. This is another emergency mode that they can use to implement. So on the next one, I just wanted to share, and I think maybe in the fall, I passed out to our board the standard response protocol. I just wanted to share it again. It's important for us all to see this. This is what we use. Many districts use this. And what I've been doing recently is going around to schools and just talking about it more. So oftentimes you see it a lot in the news, you see it a lot, wherever you see it, in regards to schools going into lockdowns and secures and so forth. And what I want to share tonight, and those that are listening, is there's big differences between each one, and it's important to be professional, especially staff, about what happens. So when we are possibly in a secure, that sounds like and it is important, but it's not like a lockdown. So what we've been talking about with staff is there's a big difference between a hold, there's a big difference between a secure, there's a big difference between a lockdown. Those are the three that we use, or we would use in case of emergency. So the next slide, if you would go to that, please. So this then just talks about it, and I will with the board tonight, gives me another format to talk about it, is for a hold. That is a very basic thing for administrators to use in case, I'll use an example. We've had this example, a student having a seizure in the hallway. We'd rather not have students walk over them or see something happening. So hold is, we just keep the kids in the classroom. They can do exactly what they've been doing. It's just we're gonna hold them in the classroom, and if the bell rings, they're gonna stay in the classroom until we're announced to release them. It could be a spill, a big, large spill in the hallway. It could be a lot of different things. That is, again, just hold in your room, and we're gonna clear the halls and wait for an announcement. The next one is a secure, so that's something we had this with staff asking, the concerns about a secure. A secure can be a concerning situation, but it's not something happening outside the school building. And our district, once we go into secure, all buildings will be in secure, all the doors are locked, we don't let anybody in or out. And it's something that we wait to see what's happening. For example, there could be an animal that's out on the playground. It could be, and Chief Parisi is great with this. There was a police chase not too long ago. He gave me an idea, hey, we don't know which way they're going, but they could be coming your direction, be on alert. We'll let you know. It didn't come this way, but if they were gonna be coming down Graham or Boone's Ferry, we would have put the district in a secure. Again, once you're in secure, everything's the same inside the building. Students move about the building as usual. They can use the restroom. They are learning in the classroom. It's just nobody gets into the building and the doors are locked. And then lockdown, that's the security threat where, we never want to be in that situation. But if we are, that's when lights, locks out of sight, and we're in the classrooms until we hear more from law enforcement or from the administration. So again, I apologize for sharing that again, but it's just always a good format. Anytime you're talking about safety and security, that we use the standard response protocol. Those are the main ones that we live in. Excited to share this. I mentioned this in our last meeting as well. I think we were starting this process, the critical response group. So this is site-specific common operating pictures that enable better communication during an emergency situation. It gives us higher resolution imagery for emergency response pre-planning and grid overlay. And what I will do here is I will just share this and you can look at this and I'll kind of, you really maybe can't see it, but I'll kind of give you an example. This is our district. And beforehand, we would talk, and I use this example, we had actually an incident at our baseball field, JV baseball field, where the student had a compound fracture. And when we called the emergency, they went to the wrong field. So now we have a grid overlay. So for example, if that would happen again, that's right here, let's say it's first base side, it'd be P20. So when emergency response are responding, they have this in their CAD system. So when they bring it up, it will, when they look at P20, they know exactly where P20 is and they can drive to that location rather than go to the baseball field or go to the art room. Where's the art room? Okay, it's at, and we can go down here, it's at D18. Then they can be on their CAD and they say, okay, this is the road I'm taking, this is where I'm going. So it's a pretty neat system now, and this is all implemented. I'll let you just kind of pass that around as we're talking. But again, it's just a grid of, and there's a picture of it up there. You can see how it's gridded out. But each one of those grids has a number and a letter. So again, in event of an emergency, when other agencies possibly could be responding, I'll use the example. I don't like to use it, but it's a good example to use. Silverton School District last year, I think they had 19, maybe 21 agencies respond to the district. And these are agencies that, Hubbard-Donald responded actually to that. It was a swatting call. It was a fake emergency situation that they had. And so when Hubbard-Donald, they're going, they haven't really walked that campus, but with this grid overlay, if anybody came here, they would have a very good idea of where they were going with that grid. And so this is kind of a new system. Is there any questions on that? Anybody has?
No,
Very excited to have this.
It is, minutes matter in the ambulance,
Yeah.
so it's really important to have it, so thank you very much.
No, it was, and I want to thank Chief Parisi too. We both talked about this and he was like, oh my gosh, this would be amazing. And so we were able to, implement that this year and it's been great.
With your example of out, the the emergency that happened out at the baseball fields, if like a dad or something is calling your 911, would he be able to see like a location on the fence, like you're in emergency location?
No, but when they call in, and then there's oftentimes, for example, that's a great example. Is when someone calls in 911, it's, that could be a parent, but then they're gonna be talking, and as you can see on this, they'll be able to kind of narrow down the baseball field. Where is it close to? Is it close to the building? If it's a parent calling in, and then as they're driving, for example, Aurora Fire Department, just the other day, made a call to me and said, can you give us an idea? It said middle school. Yes, and then I don't know what the grid is. It's like, we're in this grid. They were able to look at their map and see that.
Nice.
So that communication back and forth, and then I think the big thing is an emergency situation when other agencies are responding, let's say Hubbard Donald or state police is in charge of that event. Then they can use these maps and they can talk on their systems on where they're going from the grid. And this is all military. This is what they use in military status in, overseas and so forth. And this company just brought it in for safety and security. And then it's rampant right now. Districts, I do believe we were the first. It was either Tillamook and us. We were kind of at the same time. And now Salem School District is using it. I mean, they're in fact, I'm going to be going to a tabletop, and I'll explain that here in a little bit, with Salem this month. There's a lot of districts that are starting to use this with their systems.
I appreciate that the AEDs are marked on here too.
Yeah, and it literally, thank you for saying that process was, they came out, they brought a drone in, they mapped it, and I walked with them. They opened every door in the district. So then they put in gates, they put in the AEDs, they put in a fuel shut off, they put in gas shut off, all that is on that. So when fire can respond and we talk with them, all of that. So all the red marks you see on this screen, you can't read them, but those are all in regards to fire shut offs and that type of thing in AEDs. Okay. So I'll be real quick with this. Just wanted to share again the trainings and networking that I'm involved in. Oregon School of Safety and Risk Group. Love this group. It's Salem and Eugene school districts, Hillsborough, Beaverton, Roseburg. Those are the main ones, but it's missing that. And we are able to talk, and I'm able to, from a kind of a smaller school perspective, hear all the big things that are going on in those big districts. And they've all been a great help. In fact, Beaverton helped a lot with Raptor. We were kind of struggling at the beginning of it, but Beaverton School District was using it. And I was able to talk to their safety person quite a bit about that. So I just really want to thank the Oregon School Safety and Risk Group. It's been great working with them. And I also, like I said, have lots of direct communication with the Salem Safety and Risk Management Services. They do a great job, and they're always helpful for the questions that I have. Regional Emergency Management Network, that's through our ESD. I attend those meetings. We were it was nice to have SAFE represented in our district recently. We're actually going to be, it was hard. We were going to try to do it in April, but it just, his schedule and our schedule didn't work out. But in August, we're going to be scheduling some safety trainings for our custodial and maintenance on lifting, on how to use implements correctly and so forth. So he'll be coming in and doing that with our cafeteria, custodial, and maintenance staff in August. We also meet our district safety committee. We have bi-weekly meetings that we meet, and also we have building safety committee meetings. So we have lots of meetings that we talk about these safety procedures with our students and our staff. And then lastly, I just wanted to share, because there has been some recently that we're all up to date, myself on our Department of Public Safety and Standards Training and Certification. So I'm happy to report that we're all up to date with that. And then lastly, I was talking about CRG. I'm very excited about this. So, and I mentioned this came from United States Special Forces and Operational Services in the military. And you can go to the next slide here. Thank you, Jess. So I'm happy to say that on June 17th, 1 o'clock in this building, or in this room, we are going to have a tabletop discussion with all of our emergency responders. So Hubbard Donald Aurora Police Department, Aurora Fire, Hubbard Fire District, First Student, our transportation, Woodburn Ambulance, partnering law enforcement agencies that Chief Breesy's helping me with, as well as where our reunification site is, getting some of those personnel in case we ever had to use that. And then our safety team will all be in the same room talking about response on emergencies, how we do that, operations centers, everything safety related regarding emergency response and reunification. We're going to be bringing all of our partners together in the same room. So we're really excited about that. I think not only will it be great communication, but it'll also probably, share or show some of the weaknesses that we might have that we can work together, with this group to, shore those up. So very excited about that, particular day. And I think if that's it,
Sorry.
I think it is.
There's
Yeah,
one,
that'd
there's
be
one,
more.
there's one more slide, and that slide happens to be, the website. Again, Des did a great job helping me with that, but if you would, I don't know if it'll come up, but if you click on the website, it does, so this is what our, community sees. There's a place for them to contact me if they have it, and then all of the emergency resources we have on there. And if you go back up just a little bit, right there. So, and then we were talking about hold, secure, and lockdown. If you do click on those, and it talks a little bit more about each one, in that, and then it has videos that support that. These are videos that we use when we teach those. So those are all on our website too for the community to see as well. So.
And this links from our main page.
Well, thank you. Sorry, I took probably a little longer than I should have there, but it's always fun to talk about safety and security, and it's always nice to have an audience to listen to that. So thank you very much. Appreciate it. And thank you for all of your service to our school community.
We appreciate you, Wes, and all the work you do, and we always see you out.
Yeah.
Keeping the kids safe, keeping the district safe, working.
I enjoy it. It's been an honor, and it's been a neat cap to my career in education. This has been just an awesome place to work. So.
Looks good. I assume without having to even ask that you're training people, the administrative people on this system, so they know almost instinctively what to do.
Yeah, Raptor, I'll use the example. Raptor's, fairly new, and we are trained. In fact, like I said, Thursday, I was with the whole intermediate staff, just kind of reviewing, going over it, and there was some great questions about it. People at first were a little tentative, but as we're using it, people are getting more and more comfortable with it. So yes, we're doing our best to train, and there's always room for improvement. So
I'm sure that's right. It reminded me of what they say, the Navy SEALs say. They say, we don't train until we get it right.
Yeah.
We train until we can't get it wrong.
Yeah,
And
there you go.
there's something to that.
Yeah.
Definitely, thank you for bringing that forward. It's really a good refresher even for us on the board, so I appreciate it so much.
You bet.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
I know we didn't give you much notice.
That's okay.
Thanks, Wes.
Thank you, Wes.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so our last agenda item is a quick walkthrough of what was accomplished during bargaining here, and I'm just gonna go through each of these, and you're gonna have to stop me if you have questions. Because a lot of it is we've covered a lot of this through our executive session meetings that we've had and everything. And most of this shouldn't be new to you, so say, got a quick question, because I'm just gonna buzz through this. So, recognition article, we aligned to an ORS, we clarified UNME membership. Article 6, association security and responsibility, we clarified on what the new orientation pay should be like and improved language around employee handbooks. Articles 7 and 8, they were just minor changes for clarification of processes. Online education, this one did take a little bit. We removed old language to reflect current practices, like references to particular programs, because those names might change. We differentiated between a coordinator of a program and a teacher of record. and set some parameters around the coordinator for online learning. I really do think that this ended up coming up with a better, it took a while. But I think this was one that in the end, we came up with a really good agreement with UNME, and by the end, it was really collaborative. Article 10, employees evaluation and personnel file. This one did also was right till the very last session. And you know, we've implemented some plans of assistance or programs of assistance, so it was only fair that we worked with the association to determine what are the requirements before placing a teacher on a plan of assistance. And everything that we agreed to, we should be doing anyway, so it should not be a problem being in the contract. Employee discipline, I think we were really collaborative on this process. There was some cumbersome language around 2-day notice for members when you have to meet with them. We cleaned that up, but we also added some language to say, what if we can't wait 2 days to meet with somebody? So we add some emergency provisions there so that we could do that. Complaint procedure, we outlined actually what the procedure was, because the procedure was with a conference and it was cumbersome. So we outlined a procedure and then what the complaint conference looked like. Previous language also said how people made complaints against administrators. Not sure why that was in a contract. We just said, if a teacher wants to make a complaint against an administrator, we follow board policy. Grievance procedure. We added some language that if both parties want to extend the timelines, we can. I've been in situations before where I needed the union to give me more time. And they've been in situations where they need more time, and as long as we're agreeing on it together, we can extend timelines, but both parties have to agree. So if one party feels like the other one's stalling, either party can hold each other accountable to the timelines. We also clarified step 3, which is a board hearing. It was since that involves you, it's now 21 days after that. They have 5 days to declare, and the next board meeting gets 21 days versus it used to be the next regularly scheduled board meeting. Well, what if we're not ready? So vacancies and transfers. I think that I'm really excited about this policy. Look at all those and more that you can define in policy, the better off you are. We have the definitions for what all those things are. And then outlining processes for voluntary and involuntary transfers, the things there. Layoff and recall. We're in the 21st century. I'd like to be able to notify people electronically and not by certified mail that they don't answer anyway. And so we added language in there that allows for electronic communication, and also added some language so that if we want to do an internal hiring process, it doesn't conflict with recall. Work year, workday. We know that this one was right to the end. Des talked about it earlier. I really think we have this contract language is really going to help the calendar committee, because it really sets it out as to what our calendar is designed to do. Again, super excited about no more half days except for the last day of school. And I think that the last day of school should always be a half day of school. And then I think you even saw it tonight, really tying it in to where there's a lot of 5-day weeks. And I really think that that's going to make a big difference to have those consistent schedules for families teaching. We also were able, and my hat's off to UNME. We said, we want teachers, we need at least 3 nights a year where we can schedule events that teachers have to be at without compensation. And that's not to try to take advantage of teachers. They work incredibly hard. But we have to be able to have some events where we can say this is a required event, like our back to school night. This is a required event. And I got to really give UNME credit. They did not disagree 1 iota on that. They said absolutely. We did add some language in there to allow them some flex time, some professional courtesy language that I brought in from another district. What if I do need to? I always kept using the Ducks game. What if I got to get out of town for the Ducks Friday night football game? I want to meet in traffic. There's some language in there where teachers can have some flexibility on there. And so I think those were some good trades. Salaries, with our budget, conversations that we've had with them, and it really goes into the insurance language we'll talk about a little bit. I really got to thank UNME for keeping us to be able to budget within our means here with those numbers. Supplemental pay, we, again, more definitions, the more definitions you have, the cleaner things will be, so we have definitions for these pay categories. We clarified evaluation of coaches. And we have a new supplemental pay schedule, so versus pay being in different parts of the contract and the business office having to find out how much something gets paid. There is one page that says, this is what people get paid for extra responsibilities. Retention incentive, this was a last minute thing that we pitched at them at the end. And I gotta tell you, they were super thankful for this offer, that it cost us a little bit, but it really is for people to be able to add to their retirement. This was something that they really appreciated. Insurance, gotta give a lot of credit to Kim, you know, for messaging that $150 per month will, in the long run, serve their members better than increases in COLAs would. Kim did an outstanding job of presenting that. And so that's a significant boost in that monthly contribution that teachers will feel in their pocketbooks as a result. We also added language to clarify when insurance begins for new employees, which really wasn't too, we kind of knew that one, but we never really had a clarification about what happens when someone resigns. How long do they carry insurance? And we articulated that, so it's the same for everybody on that, because that was not clear beforehand. We also increased the opt-out incentives and clarify on the opt-out benefits and eligibility, so that's clear for now. And the rest of it's pretty self-explanatory. We did a lot of consolidation on our leave articles. We had a lot of leave articles, and we got those reduced down to fewer articles. And I just got to thank my team for being outstanding teammates, a lot of collaboration, a lot of working up front before the contract negotiations even started. We did a reorganization with UNME before we even got started, agreed upon how we wanted the contract reorganized. They came to the table wanting to get done quickly, getting done by the first week in May. Pretty awesome feeling, 3-year agreement. Kudos to my teammates for the work, and for Jenny giving up her time to support the process, and it was great, and there was a lot of trust built on both sides.
Excellent. Everyone good? Okay.
So with the future meetings and tentative agenda, we've got some meetings coming up here. Earlier this evening, I did send you all the board policies. You have, as my text message also said to you, you have 2.5 weeks to look over those policies, get us emailed, because we would love to have a first reading. If the agenda is not too full, on June 8th with adoption on June 22nd, as long as we keep the agenda light.
Did I
Why do you
read
look at
that
me?
right?
Because I was told to keep the agenda light. But
Did I read that right, that was 3 times today?
I emailed you 3 times today.
Yes.
Yes.
Doctor.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, we're gonna adjourn this regular business meeting. At, what time is it? 7:47 PM. Adjourn. And